not for nothing that Rio de Janeiro is a favorite of the jet set. More sober Latin Americans call it the hemisphere's capital of hedonism. The sound of the samba's direct ancestor, the religious music of African slaves, could be heard this same night just across the street on Copacabana Beach. For one night a year, the beaches that ring Rio de Janeiro become a vast outdoor temple to Iemanjá, the sea goddess brought by slaves from their homeland in what is now southern Nigeria. Today, Iemanjá is worshipped by Brazilians of all races and all social classes. Her veneration belongs to a series of magical cults that go by the general name Macumba. Salvador Bahia is the place to look for the origins of Macumba. Salvador was the principal port of entry for African slaves coming to Brazil. The Brazilian slave trade was more intense than that in the United States. It began earlier, lasted longer. Most of the slaves became superficial Roman Catholics, baptized but secretly faithful to their traditional beliefs. The Catholic Church of Bonfim is still used clandestinely for initiation rites into candomblé, the Macumba sect most popular in Bahia. Alongside the church, you can buy religious articles for either Catholic services or the magic cult. Centuries ago, the Macumba sects assimilated into their rites Catholic saints like St. George of the Dragon, St. Barbara, St. Sebastian, and others. At night, Christianity seems to wane in Salvador. African candomblé takes over. The ceremonies in this particular congregation began with the sacrifice of a chicken to the Eshu, or evil spirits. In the big hall, there were more offerings: money, candles, and rum, aimed at keeping the evil spirits content so they wouldn't intrude. Offerings were made, too, to beseech the presence of benevolent gods. This is the idea of the drums, the chants, and the dancing. To summon each god or spirit to the specific person who is offering his body for that spirit's occupation. The feet are bare because shoes are believed to make it more difficult for the spirit to take possession. The girl was in a trance. The first spirit had come, but not as expected. The girl had been calling for Omolu, the god believers equate with Lazarus of the New Testament. Instead, her collapse, her claw-like fingers, told them she'd received an Eshu, an evil spirit. The head priest cast spells to free her of the Eshu. The other dancers continued calling for their spirits.
Macumba and Umbandan spiritism is actually Brazil's greatest problem. The whole philosophy behind it is one of complete fatalism, that the individual is not free to make his own choices, but rather that his whole life has been fated out for him.
And it's kind of a social, hospital, clinical, psychiatrist couch, priest confessional booth, community center for literally millions of middle and lower class Brazilians who would not have any other way of getting any kind of comfort, spiritual comfort or physical comfort.
Essentially, it's the forces of nature that these African gods represent. Believers in Macumba regularly come to scenes of natural power or beauty to beseech the intercession of the gods on their behalf, or to attempt to compel it by magic. This forest waterfall is just a few hundred yards from a fashionable golf club outside Rio de Janeiro. The crossroads near it were literally covered with candles, rum, and other types of offerings. This is black magic. The people who put these offerings here were either attempting to propitiate the evil spirits or to use them to do harm against others. Most believers are frightened of black magic. These people wear white to testify to their membership in what is called the white line of Macumba. They reject black magic, not because they don't believe in it, but because they consider it harmful. In Macumba, as practiced around Rio, congregations receive not only the spirits of African gods, but those of people who once lived. This congregation is receiving the spirit of Indian warriors. The cigars are because Indians are supposed to like tobacco in this form. The psychological explanation for this type of behavior is that the participants have hypnotized themselves and are reproducing the personalities of the spirits as they've seen other entranced believers do before them. We focused our attention on a 17-year-old student named Flora Marcus. At first, she was aware of the camera, but she soon lost herself in the rites. It took time, because her first duty was to act as guardian for other members of the congregation, to prevent them from hurting themselves in the trance state. Then it became her turn to receive a spirit. It was Aimenja, the goddess of the sea. This girl's reactions were typical of those of the average Macumba member. But when the leader of a congregation receives a spirit, it's usually a more profound experience. The character of the spirit is more sharply etched when a priest or priestess receives it. This manifestation is of Grandmother Virgilina, a wise but ancient black woman of Brazilian slave times. The spirit is believed to be palsied with age, but because of her goodness and knowledge of the occult, believers seek her blessing and intercession for themselves and their loved ones. Sometimes males receive female spirits and vice versa. Here, both a man and a woman invoked Pombagira, a female Eshu. It's a debatable question whether this manifestation represents white or black magic. The evil spirits, it is thought, enjoy fire and destruction. The woman possessed told me later she didn't know what she was doing to herself and felt no ill effects from it. Spirit, she said, had received the fire and the blows and took pleasure from them. Presumably under the influence of the chants and drums, an onlooker received the spirit of another Eshu. This one is believed to be part animal, part devil. Macumba of this type is considered by many believers to be crude, unsophisticated, and primitive. But it does take other forms.
I've seen black magic work. I know a man who one morning walked out of his house and there was a shoebox in his front door, and it had a dead black chicken, and it had some black candles that were tied with black ribbons, and a message written on there that by the time that the new moon came up, he would be dead. He was a believer, and it worried him sick. And by the time the new moon came up, the man was dead.
Spirit consultations are one of the most important means practitioners of Macumba think they have of helping others. Individuals with problems seek the advice and assistance of spirits who speak through the mouths of persons in trance. The jerking movement of the arm is to cleanse and purify the person seeking assistance. People who come to be treated for physical ills by spirit doctors are those who believe profoundly, those who have no money, or those for whom there's no other hope. Doctors at Rio's best-known cancer clinic gave Arnaldo Kling from 1 to 3 months to live. A brain tumor deemed inoperable had robbed him of his power to see, to walk, even to think coherently. This was 6 months ago. He's shown remarkable improvement ever since. On the advice of a nurse at the cancer clinic, his family, as a last resort, has been bringing him for regular treatment by magic at this Macumba center. The surgeon who performed the biopsy on Kling and diagnosed his imminent death told me, "I've seen him. His condition now is good. I don't know it deeply, but I believe in spirit treatment." The chief of the clinic, however, attributes Kling's improvement to previous cobalt treatments. He said, "In 15 years of treating cancer, I've never seen a serious case cured by spirits." The head of the hospital added, "If Kling lives 5 or 10 more years, then I'll call it a miracle." Rio's largest Macumba temple boasts a congregation of 3,000, known here as mediums. Influenced by 19th century European spiritualism, they have an ethical code which prohibits taking money for spiritual services and demands that magical powers be used only for good. This line of Macumba runs organized charities, orphanages, food distributions, and hospitals. The music here is more melodic, but even in this temple, the African drum beat and the trance are fundamental. This congregation has sessions of this sort once a month, when members receive spirits for their own benefit and not for that of other persons. Outsiders can and do become possessed. Sometimes people have to be helped from the floor. An American couple was present watching. For a half hour, the wife sat without speaking or moving her hands. Then she got up and left the temple. I noticed that you walked out in the middle of the ceremony. Why did you do that?
Well, I was feeling very shaky and kind of like I needed some fresh air. I'm still shaky.
Did you have the sensation that you might be, to use their terms, about to receive the spirit?
Maybe. I just felt my whole body quivering and shaky. Also, I just felt my body felt numb, like I was disengaged, or my spirit was disengaged from my body, if that's how you want to explain it.
Was it an agreeable or a disagreeable sensation?
It was an agreeable. It was very positive feeling. I didn't feel anything negative at all.
Do you believe in Macumba?
I don't know that much about Macumba. I would like to know more about it. I just follow whatever I feel.
The great majority of Macumba phenomena can be explained by modern psychology. However, I find myself in the same position as other researchers into Macumba. There are phenomena for which I have no explanations. Doubtless there are natural explanations, but I don't have them.